Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Aaron2for20. We're bringing you guys my round 1 game of IBA playoffs. Now, I know I said that my next game was going to be IBA week 12, and I know I also said I would be consistent from now on. But things happened. Things happened, like me needing to re-record my GBA D-League app 13 fucking times. So we're actually going to be uploading this late. Actually, this game will go up on time because I pushed it back a week. Main reason being we had a bye week due to PAX. So I'm technically not late with this upload if I get it up within the next 2 hours and 17 minutes as of setting this line. So we are here with our game versus Nick Reckless Bat. I made it in. I'd like to thank the people who allowed me to make it in. First off, my front office. As always, they are linked in the description below. I would like to thank Omega for forfeiting his game, because even though there was still a chance we could have made it, it was very unlikely had he not forfeited his game. I think I would have still made it with how things played out, depending on how much he won his game by, but regardless, it did secure us getting into playoffs, nonetheless. I would like to thank Odds for choking, and also Flame for losing our Week 12 game. Our Week 12 game was memes, that's why I'm skipping it, and also because I want to catch up, and I know that if I have to record 2 games, it's less time for me to catch up because I'll have to add 2 vids versus 1, and I want to get back to uploading Wi-Fi battles, and I have other league stuff as well from new leagues I'm joining up. So for a game that was like 20 turns, memes, and it was almost a complete shutout, to be honest. Endgame was just very brutal for Flame, but at the beginning it was sort of like 50-50, but it just got to the point where it was very bad. Not even just hacks, it was just like, I brought a lot less meme sets than he thought I was bringing, and he was bringing like obvious memes. So yeah, so I'd like to thank Flame for losing that. I won't upload it, but I'll link it in the description if I remember. And finally, I would like to thank myself for not choking for once. We've actually had a very successful season. You'll see in this game, I'll give a little bit of spoilers. It's a very hacksy game. I won't say anything else, but my team, I brought, let me actually open up my team real quick. Alright, and we are back. So as you can see here, the first mon we have up is Yoshiko or Halucha with Grassy Seed, of course, because it's the only set you've run. We have Acrobatics, Drain Punch, Sword Stance, and Substitute. Sub is mainly just because I can get a sub up versus a lot of Nick's team. For example, mons such as maybe Arcanine if I come in on it, and Arcanine can no longer Will-O-Wisp me. I can also set up a sub on something such as maybe a Choice Locked Mamo, because I think its Scarf Mamo does a fairly decent amount to my team. Because Ground and Ice alone hit my team very hard. My only real switch in is Mega Blastoise, which I will get into that set later. So overall, I was very scared of a Scarf Mamoswine. Nick had not brought it, though, spoiler alert, for the second time in a row. Or even, let's say, like a Banded Dragonite, depending on what it locks itself into. I could, for example, if it's locked in E-Speed, I could set up a sub, then Sword Stance potentially, as it's locked in E-Speed. That's probably a less likely example, but point is, there are definitely options. More so a Choice Locked Dragonite into Earthquake, I guess. But point is, there are definitely mons on Nick's team. Also things like Slowbro. Actually, Slowbro could still go for Psychic. But point is, I figured I can set up a sub maybe on a mon that's either going to A, do nothing like Arcanine, if it's already in, or B, if I'm predicting a switch, and get up that plus a Sword Stance, and then just run house in Nick's team. That was the point of it. The 96 speed was meant to outspeed anything on Nick's team. I believe his fastest mon was Jolteon, so Quick Feet Jolteon was around when I was trying to speed creep. Next up, we got Heat of Bloods with the Yachi Berry. I have Yachi Berry on this mainly for Mamoswine. I figured that it worked really well last time. Bringing a little bit different set, mainly because I figured that sub with Sword Dance and then Stone Edge Corn Leech should steam fairly well. Even hits Celesteela neutrally, and I figured that with the +2, if I get there as I keep my sub up, then I am able to easily outspeed and to it KO it. As long as it's not like max speed on top of my set, I have ways around it if it is though, so I'm not overly worried. Next up, we have Mega Blastoise. A little bit Fizz Def with a lot of speed, actually. The speed is to outspeed an Arcanine that is only speed creeping to outspeed me speed creeping him. So that would be around 228, so I hit 229 for that reason. I have Dark Pulse, Water Pulse, Toxic, and Ice Beam. Hits this team fairly well coverage-wise. I figured overall this was probably my best option in general just for playing Nick's team. I have Send Bobzo or Nidoqueen, mainly as a lead, in case of his lead Mamoswine rather than a Scarf Mamoswine. Same speed creep as I have Mega Blastoise for, with Stealth Rock, Earth Power, Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt. I believe the investment was to 2-hit KO Celesteela with Thunderbolt, if I'm not mistaken. I forget what, but I know it was for one of Nick's bulkier Pokemon, and I wanted to 2-hit KO it with either Thunderbolt, Earth Power, or Ice Beam. I forget what though. Might have even been a KO Dragonite after Rocks. I forget exactly what the special attack was for though, but I know it's for one of those 3 moves to a KO or OHKO after rocks against one of Nick's bulkier mons. It was a while ago that I built this team, so sorry about that. Next up we have Usain Bolt, our Zera Aura, with Thunder, Volt Switch, Focus Blast, and HP Ice. I figured that with the 196 speed, the 152 speed plus Timid Nature, I was reading the 1 and then the 96 from 396, my bad. This speed allows stat speed Nick's whole team on Scarf. Z Focus Blast hits this team fairly well. The only mons that don't really take this very well, or the only mons that take this very well, my bad, are mons that are not going to switch in, such as Slowbro, because Slowbro would just die to Thunder or a Volt Switch. So I figured that overall hits this team fairly well. HP Ice is out and I can hit Dragonite, because otherwise this set doesn't really do that much to it. And finally, we have Semia X, Our Choice Scarf Blaziken. I think it's the same set I ran last time, if I'm not mistaken. I know at the very least I had the Dual Stab and Knockoff. I think I had Earthquake as well, if I'm not mistaken. I might not have, but it's same speed tier at the very least. Meant to just speed type of Mamoswine. Overall, hit his team fairly well. And that is our team. Let's get right back into the match. And we are back. So overall, I am going to lead off with my Mega Blastoise. I figured that Mega Blastoise, against whatever on his team that he could have possibly led, as he does bring the DNC, Hitmonchan, Mamoswine, Slowbro, Arcanine, and Celesteela. Regardless, I'm going to hit his team fairly well. Mega Blastoise leads off fairly well, and even if it's an Assault Vest Hitmonchan, for example, that he led, I can get off a fairly decent hit before switching out. As he actually switches into that, he probably led off with Mega DNC, expecting I'd lead off with Nidoqueen. Even if I did lead off with Nidoqueen, I could still hit it with an Earth Power fairly hard, and he couldn't really do anything back to me. So yeah, I actually Mega Evolve here, and I go for a Water Pulse. I find out that he's probably at least bulky, if not AV, and I bring in my Nidoqueen because I know I'm going to take any hit, even an Earthquake if he semi-read me, and if he did read me, then I'll predict that later. But he goes for Ice Punch instead. That's perfectly fine because I get up my rocks, and then bring back in Mega Blastoise, because I figured I can always get off a Toxic versus this thing, as he's clearly not doing that much, and I got up the rocks that I need to now, and he doesn't have removal outside of Hitmonchan, so I'm not overly worried. I just want to whittle down this Hitmonchan, who I'm assuming he's just trying to just get damage off with, so that's perfectly fine. He's just going for Rapid Spins now, as I have now not only Toxic him, but I also am just going for Water Pulse, hopefully trying to confuse him, but regardless, this Toxic Chip is hurting him significantly, as now he brings in a Celesteela. Overall, I didn't really mind this too much, even if I didn't get the crit, because that still would have done fairly decent damage, better damage than I would have been not staying in. So overall, I'm just trying to maybe confuse him and whittle him down some more. I did get the confusion off, and luckily if I hit him again in confusion, then I can probably just beat this thing. So he does end up still staying confused, of course, and sadly though, he gets off a Leech Seed. So that is very unfortunate for us, but it is not too bad, because I am able to switch right into Zera Aura, as I expect him to go for a Protect here, and he does just that. He goes for a Protect here. So this was a very solid turn for us, because I figured that he's going to switch. He actually switched in his DNC, which was a little bit surprising, but regardless, I was able to go for a Volt Switch, because even if he brought in Mamoswine next turn, I can go for a Z Focus Blast and then see what his set was. He does bring in his Arcanine on my Blaziken here. That is perfectly fine by me. I just go for a Flare Blitz. I really just wanted to see what he was going to do, and maybe play around it later on in the game should he went into something that I didn't expect. But he does go into Arcanine, which leads me to believe that that is his dedicated Nidoqueen, his dedicated Blaziken switch in, because I'm Physical Attacker. Nidoqueen came in here. I figured that I didn't want to risk any of my Physical Attackers getting Will-O-Wisp. It actually worked very well for Toxic though. And he does bring in his Hitmonchan. Perfectly fine by that, because I am able to just stay in. I was kind of hoping he'd overpredict. That worked out perfectly for me, as I'm able to just go for an Earth Power and just let Toxic whittle him down, as now I can go for another Earth Power and sack this thing to an Ice Punch, which I had expected, and then now he has no way to clear my hazards, because I can just come on in and bring in something else that can prevent just off, such as Zera Aura, who can again just Volt Switch, as he does yet again bring in the Mega DNC on me, before Mega that is. I do go for the Focus Blast, hoping that he'd try and switch out. It doesn't really matter, because he was actually in Volt Switch range at that point after Focus Blast, so that actually worked out perfectly for us. I just Volt Switch here though now, and because I knew that it killed anyway, and there's no way he'd bring in a Mamoswine on my Volt Switch, expecting maybe me to be choiced. But I figured I can go right into Blaziken here, maybe read a switch, because regardless I can go into Mega Blastoise if he does bring in the Arcanine, or I could even just stay and click Earthquake, which is actually what I opt to do, because I was hoping that maybe he would just stay in and not go into Celesteela, as I figured that was a very bad play for him to bring it in on Blaziken. However, he does just go for Morning Sun and then go for it again, so this sort of invalidates the crit per se. I do go for a Volt Switch here just because I want to try and gain initiative. I thought he was actually going to switch out, but I guess not. He does stay in and go for Toxic, which is a little unfortunate for Mega Blastoise, but it doesn't matter too much as overall I didn't really need Mega Blastoise as much as other things this match. I really just need it for Mamoswine. I do get off the Toxic on Slowbro though, that was very important, as now Slowbro is going to be whittled down more later in the game, and I can just go for Dark Pulse. The crit, I'm fairly certain Nick said the crit mattered. I forget 100%, but I'm fairly certain that crit mattered. In fact, actually, I think that was the only crit that did matter this game. But overall, it's fine though, because Zeraora could have easily revenged off his team, plus Bulu overall in the game, so I wasn't overly concerned. I feel like I still would have won regardless, but it definitely didn't matter for this instance. So I did bring in my Heated Bloods to the top of Bulu. I figured that regardless, Mamoswine wasn't going to beat me, and I can get up a free sub, because I figured that he was probably going to switch out, thinking that I was the same set from last time, and just kill him off, as he does need his Mamoswine very badly. So I get off my sub here, and I go for Sword Stance. Figured that he had to have just gone for Fire-type moves such as Flamethrower, and now that I'm at +1, I figured that I get to go for a Stone Edge on this Arcanine, just get off some nice damage. He does bring in Celesteela here, which is perfectly fine by me, as I can just go for Stone Edge and rip right through this thing. So Celesteela is now gone, meaning that Hawlucha can pretty much sweep at this point in the game. It's perfectly fine. He does bring in his Mega DNC here. Not overly concerned by that. I'm just going to switch my Blaziken. Main reason being is because I figured that terrain is kind of low, and had he maybe taken the time to set up a Rock Polish, or even just keep me in and then bring in Arcanine to revenge me off on my last start of terrain, I figured I would rather keep the terrain up and then bring in Bulu. I am bringing Hawlucha should I need it. So Blaziken was essentially a sack that ended up actually not being sacked. So I was kind of glad by that, just because, you know, another kill for Blaziken, and I can just sack it to Mamoswine instead. And then I can bring in Bulu on the Mamoswine, or even Zeraora. I believe I just go for the Z-Focus Blast here, because obviously he has no switch into it. And that's sort of what I realized, but obviously I probably could have just brought in Bulu and swept at that point anyway. Regardless though, I do bring in Zeraora, and I just kill off the rest of his team between the all-out pummeling and my Thunder here, of course, killing off the Arcanine. So that is a GG to Nick. I don't know how much the crits mattered looking back on it. I think the Slowbro one probably mattered, but then again, I still had Bulu and Zeraora both pretty healthy. They could have definitely beaten the Slowbro 1v1. We do have a game versus Dougal next week. I actually just played that game. I won't spoil it, but we are going to have that game going up next week. It was a very, very fun game, and I cannot wait to show you guys how that went. But of course, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like down below. If you guys want to see next week, make sure to come back on Saturday for that. And I will see you guys then. Peace out.